Welcome to DG360. We are a natural organic algorithm. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, click that phallic symbol for me. I'd really appreciate that. Also, comment down below. We love that. We're going to watch a video here from MORPHOLOGIS where he's tripling down. I think we got to triple down here from MORPHOLOGIS, where not only 2022 wasn't bad, not only was 2022 like a year of no game development, but also 2023 is going to be slow. It's going to be slow here. And, you know, a lot of times when I see this, I know I hear this.
Warning, incoming salad vibes.
You know, I just don't like to make it my business to continually drive home the same point over and over and over again to get them clicks or views. And I'm not saying that Morph is doing that. Obviously, he's passionate about the project. That's why he wants to voice up on topics like this. But I disagree with him on progress that was made in 2022. A lot of people would say I'm a white knight for having that opinion, but I understand game development. I understand the things that were done in 2022. Refueling, salvaging, pretty much. I mean, you could say 2023 on that, but I think it slipped under the radar. We've got medical gameplay. There's all these things that have happened in 2022 that seem to have been disregarded by the entirety of the Star Citizen content creator community. And I say that because a lot of the times what I find for the people who have the most views and that have the most subscribers is that they are the most angry. And that is because I believe the YouTube algorithm is focused on hatred. I think that it endorses hatred. I think that if the algorithm could be personified as any character in a science fiction series, it would probably be Emperor Palpatine, and the hatred would flow. The hatred would flow through the algorithm. I do believe that the algorithm endorses all types of hatred. Now, is this criticism valid? Let's watch the video. Let's see what his reasoning for it is. Some of them I watch from Morph, they're rational. Other ones, they're not. So it's kind of like a 50-50 hit or miss. Let's watch and let's see what he has to say.
For many, 2022 wasn't the year they expected for Star Citizen's development. Despite blowing up funding records, surpassing a whopping $100 million in a single year for funding, a good few goals set in the beginning of 2022 by Star Citizen founder Chris Roberts in his letter from the chairman weren't met. And it really wasn't even close. And guess what? We just got another letter talking about 2023. So in a moment, much like last year's controversial video on the same topic, no, not that one, I'll quickly summarize what Chris said, and then I'll tell you what I think that means for this year, 2023. Hint, it's probably going to be another slow year, but there's definitely still much to be excited for, even taking...
you see, he brought us in with the clickbait. He brought us in a professional way. He brought us in with the clickbait. He's going to smooth things over with that wonderful buttercream icing. See what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, he clickbaited me right into it. I am trapped. I got trapped in the clickbait wonderfulness. And now he's going to smooth it over. Right. Right. Ooh.
To account CIG's track record of missing delivery dates. So if by the end you thought I did a good job breaking things down and you think I deserve it, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and slam the notification bell so you know the next time I post a video.
Oh, yes, I'm slamming it.
So I'm going to try to quickly summarize the letter, but it's kind of long. So if you guys read it already, I've bookmarked the video so you can skip ahead to what it means for 2023. In other words,
I almost feel like he's using ChatGPT. Like if he hadn't made videos like this prior to this video that already had this vibe and flavor to it, right? That has that soulful kind of, you know, retro music vibe with the, you know, like, yeah, that kind of like narration style that he has. I feel like if that had not been on every other video I've seen up to this point and I just saw this one, I feel like this would have been created with ChatGPT.
My thoughts on interpreting all that he said. He also reflects, though, quite a lot on 2022, so if you've not read the letter yet, but you want to get to the part where he talks about 2023, I've also bookmarked that. However, I do encourage you to stick around to listen to the whole thing, as there are some nuggets about 2022 in there which inform 2023, and so it's worth listening to. So, let's talk about his year in review. Chris began like last year's letter in reflection on 2022, where he shared his thanks for the supportive and enthusiastic community, who he sees as fully supportive of Star Citizen's ultimate goal of a fully connected and simulated universe. He goes on to say that without the community-driven funding model, Star Citizen couldn't exist. He continues on exciting the much-anticipated Persistent Entity Streaming Tech, or PES, coming in with 3.18 as a prime example, as its development timeline would not be acceptable via other funding models. He explains that PES will allow for server meshing later on and will enable items to persist on a scale that is greater than anyone else has ever tried to deliver before in gaming. While he doesn't admit that it took longer than anticipated, he does mention that it didn't make it into live this year, like they had originally planned, suggesting at least an acknowledgement of the delay. Chris then emphasizes that PES is a complex technology that will enable really important features like emergent gameplay, salvage, and soft death, just to name a few. He then talks about how the community contributes greatly to the development through not just giving feedback and testing, but also by contributing ideas that make the game better. Personally, I think this is one of the best parts of following and engaging with Star Citizen's development. He explained that good ideas from the community often get incorporated, like the new racing features in 3.18, which are thanks to CIG responding to the needs of Star Citizen's growing ship and ground vehicle racing community, which I think is really, really cool. In the next section, Chris then reflects on his May letter from the chairman in 2022, that's last year's, saying that the trend of it.
You know what would be cooler? Have an AI actually out there flying ships in a race and being able to gamble on them. Make that happen, please. I would like that to happen soon. And if that doesn't happen soon, I'm going to get all upset. I'm going to make a video saying how there's no progress, that it's going to be another slow year. If I don't get my gambling... If I don't get my gambling, I'm going to stomp my feet, and I'm going to get real angry, and I'm going to make a video that says that there's another slow year in 2023. Listen, if I can't gamble at Hex, and there's not ships racing around me, if there's not NPC AI flying around me, flying ships in a race that's convincing, that makes me feel like there are people around there, and I can't gamble on that, I'm just going to make a video that says another slow year ahead for Star Citizen progress. I'm going to stamp my feet on the ground. I'm going to get really upset.
An ever-increasing player count continued on into the next year. He then somewhat, in my opinion, kind of awkwardly goes on to indirectly try to address the controversy towards the end of last year surrounding there only having been a single 3.x patch for the entirety of 2022. That was 3.17. By talking about how
the farther we get in this, the patch is going to get slower and slower like a quagmire. That's just the way it's going to be. What's up, Mod81? Thanks for that, man. I'm feeling the vibe from you, bro. Thank you. Another famous man walking into the room.
3.17.2 should have been renamed since it had a lot more features than a typical dot patch. By directly addressing this, in my opinion, I think it kind of highlights the problem of last year having been kind of light on content, and it would have been a lot better.
Everybody's trying to buy me out from this. Wow. I think we have a world first here on the channel. Thank you, Mod81. Thank you for those gifts, man. I appreciate you very, very much, dude. That is very kind to you. Mod81 always coming in here supporting the channel. I cannot wait for the new episode of Emergence. When do you think that's coming out, bro? Listen, I'm not trying to rush you. I know you got a real life thing going on, but man, I cannot wait for the next episode of Emergence, dude. I've been kind of like, okay, all right, Feb, all right, you heard it here. I'm going to hold you to that. No, no, I don't want to be that guy. That guy's always an asshole. When there's a guy who says, I'm going to hold you to that, it's like, you're an asshole, buddy. Don't hold me to anything. I'm free like the wind. Let me fly. Let me fly like a bird, like an eagle. Don't pin me down, right? I won't be that guy, Mod81. Just try and do the best you can, dude, because I'm really looking forward to that. Do I hear any other bids to get me out of this video? I will be bought out of this video, just so you know. I feel like if there's a threshold that we can hit, I will literally be bought out of this video. Thank you.
Or maybe to just honestly talk
Like
about
a
it and
fart
say,
in the
hey,
wind.
it was a light year,
Like a
but that's
fart
because
in
we
the
were
wind,
focusing on
Artsy.
Squadron 42 and PES. I
Smelling
think that would have been
so
fine
fresh.
and felt a little bit more genuine, but I understand where he's coming from. He is the
Yes,
CEO of a
Whitey.
company, and he has to paint things in a
Yes.
positive light. Notably, he also omits talking about any reflections on what other things he said in that earlier letter about how he originally aimed for testing server meshing by the end.
People are actually trying to buy me out. Thank you, Gator.
For testing
we all
server
know,
meshing by
listen.
the end of 2022, which definitely wasn't met. This is understandable again, yet I would have preferred an acknowledgement at least. It would have felt, again, a little bit more honest. He then talks about how new ships were introduced, like the Cutter, the Corsair, and the Vulture, and even mentions the concept ship, the Galaxy. He also then goes on to talk about the introduction of the new Asia servers, which is actually a really big one for a lot of people in the community who have been in Asia and struggling with 100 to 200 plus pings for the entirety of Star Citizen development. Like me, as
Also, those people directly in China who have to deal with the CCP, they're having an issue as well.
I live in Taiwan. So then wrapping up this section, he then also mentions the various events for the year, like the Nine Tails lockdown,
Thank you,
Jumptown, and how
more
they kept
people.
many
Whining is contributing.
Next time it's gonna be glass.
I like what's happening here.
people engaged. Following that, he goes on to talk about the growth of Star Citizen in 2022, and there were some pretty good nuggets in here, mentioning that they saw an average of 240,000 monthly active users, which was 33% higher than 2021, and recorded up to over 800,000 new accounts. And of course, he also mentions that they reached over 100 million in a single year, which is the first time this has ever happened for Star Citizen. But he then goes on to mention that this money has, for the most part, been rolled into their newer, larger studios and to hiring more developers, which is a good thing. Hiring more people is definitely going to help them get the game out just a little bit quicker. One of the most interesting statistics, though, that he mentioned was that there was a 70% retention rate for players who tried.
Next time it's gonna be glass.
We're getting close to that threshold, by the way. We're getting close to it.
Tried Star Citizen during the
I
free
feel like
flies
we're getting pretty
and
close.
went on to buy a package, which is a
Thank
very
you, Mod 81.
positive
Thank you.
statistic.
Quit your
And
whining.
it
Thank you,
demonstrates
Gator.
that the game is improving and retaining people, which is not at all what I expected. I mean, if you've been around for any free flies, then you'll know that's when the servers are typically at their worst, with the worst tick rates, the most lag, and the most, weirdness that you could possibly experience in Star Citizen. So again, it's surprising. But then he goes on to talk about the Bar Citizen World Tour, where CIG developers were sent to places around the world to engage with fans in place of the in-person CitizenCon we could have had were it not for the, pandemic. And he notes that it was a really big success and wants to continue this on in the 2020.
Oh my God, he's so worried about being demonetized. He can't say Corona or COVID. I mean, give me a break. That's another thing that pisses me off about YouTube content creators, that their speech is limited, that they feel like they can't say COVID or coronavirus because God forbid they get demonetized on it. And so they're limiting their own free speech. They're actually limiting their speech. I will never, here's a promise. I don't care if this gets monetized or not. I'm going to speak the way that I want to speak, and nobody's going to buy me out of except for the people here in the chat. You will buy me out of this video. I will allow that. I will.
23. I'm excited for this, and I look forward to it myself. He then also talks about the new offices and CIG's return to work from home, which he thinks is returning them to a faster pace of development, which I think we can all agree is well needed.
Right.
Finally, then we arrive
Artsy.
to the part where Chris starts to
Thank you,
talk about
Starlet.
now and going into the future. Chris talks about 318 in the beginning part of this last section.
You know what I say? You know what I think? Here's what I think. Everybody here that's live and everybody at YouTube's that's watching me right now, just stop. Just unsubscribe and don't follow people that go, like, I'm not just saying this because of Morphologis. Like, you know, it's neither here nor there for me for Morph. Like, I'm on the fence. Like, sometimes I like his stuff, sometimes I don't. Nothing personal against the guy, but it just reminds me about all the times I've heard that from all the different content creators. And you know what? If I hear a content creator say that, here's my pledge, right? This is what I'm doing. I'm unsubscribing and I'm not watching them anymore. If they're that concerned about monetization that they're limiting their own speech, I don't want to watch them anymore, man. What else will they limit? Right? And you know, the other thing I don't want to watch is people who make scripts with ChatGPT. I'm not accusing Morph of that. I am not accusing Morph of that.
Where he describes some of the highlight features coming at 318, like salvage, which is a new profession for non-combat players to explore. PS is also one of the big highlight features, which I explained earlier, Starlet, which he then goes into more detail to talk about, like how it will remember the location of objects and players everywhere in the universe. He then thanks testers for once again helping to find the bugs in PES so that they can get it out to us sooner. Shifting over to talking about the future, he talks about this year in a very positive light, saying that he thinks it's going to possibly be the biggest year to date. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, Chris.
You know what the thing is? Let's be real here. We're going into one of the worst bear markets I think the world has ever seen, and I'm saying the world. Okay, we're going into the winter is coming. Like, winter is coming. You know, remember the movie where it comes from? Hold on, let me make you guys aware what that is here. It's this movie, or it's this series right here, Game of Thrones.
Shame.
Okay, yeah.
Shame.
It's this movie. It comes from.
Shame.
Winter is coming. Have you guys gone out to buy things, man? You see how bad it is getting, right? You got the worst death spiral that's ever probably going to happen in the history since the Great Depression coming up, unless the Fed and Jerome Powell can figure out a way to navigate his way out of this shit. But they literally just slammed on the brakes by raising up the Fed fund rate. They literally slammed on the handbrake to try and help out and raise the rate so much that everything becomes like ridiculous on the mortgage side of things, on lending, on the cost of money. And really, when you see the things at the store, at the grocery store, and you're seeing eggs for $5, $6, and when you're seeing like medicine for $20, see Erad, I'll see you tomorrow, bro. Thanks for stopping by on the stream. When you see these things in stores and you're like, wow, these are things that I used to buy all the time, and now I have to debate whether I want to buy them or not because it's so damn expensive. And you look at it and you say to yourself, my God, what is happening out there? Right? Dudes, it's only going to get worse. I'm sorry to say that. It's literally only going to get worse at this point. So just make sure you guys are saving your cash, right? Just make sure you guys are saving your cash. Pay off your debts, man, because I'm telling you, it's going to get real bad. I just got to be real with you guys right now. It is going to get terrible. So make sure you guys are saving it. You only spend it on necessities. And this is the world we're walking into right now, man. It's crazy.
To begin with, though, when they come back from vacation, they'll have to stabilize 318's PES tech in order to get it into our hands and into the live servers in January. After live, though, he emphasizes that
America's
they'll need to
having an
continue working on hardening PES, which includes not just bug fixing, but additionally adding some quality of life features. One such important feature will be the ability for us to choose which shard to join.
And buying me
Shards,
out of
if
this
you
video.
don't know, are CIG's word for the persistent instances or servers that we're able to play in. Since we don't have server meshing yet,
that one, but I
persistent
started really worrying about
objects
you guys.
like crashed ships or placed items
And you
are
guys
unique
come first.
per server. Without there being a mesh environment, each shard is basically unique, and so if we're not able to join the same shard or the same server, then our experiences will be effectively the same as they were before, where nothing seems to persist because we're not able to join that same server we were on.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I did try, and I feel like we reached sufficient levels of buying me out. The buyout has stopped. I can't do it. I just can't do it. No offense against Morph. I just can't do it.